All right. We're back into the next one.
So we're not going to talk about the last Black Sabbath show.
We're talking
Next
about it.
episode.
We're talking about it now. This is the next episode. We're into the next episode. Take it away. What are your thoughts? Do you know anything about it?
No, I no. It just it kind of reminds me of when I saw the Jacksons on their farewell tour,
I was gonna
and then
say,
two years later they are doing the victory tour, and it's like, what the hell, man? I thought this the farewell tour was supposed to be the end of it, but too
well,
much money involved.
I think the idea behind this one all started from a podcast or radio thing that Ozzy was on, and they asked him about that, what was called The End, that tour that they did all around the world. And he was like, I don't feel like, it's right, because if it's not Black Sabbath without Bill Ward playing drums. And that's, I think, what got the ball rolling about 2 or 3 years ago. And then, of course, whenever the other three were interviewed, they'd be like, well, I'm up for it. And now it's become a thing. And every man and his dog who's, played metal is in the support acts. And now it's all, and Ozzy's like, is he in a wheelchair? Is he going to sit down? How many songs can he play? Can he still sing? So, I love those first 6 or 7 Sabbath records. So I hope they don't go out on a whimper, because I thought, even though they didn't have Bill Ward, they played some great shows on that The End tour, which was what, I don't know. God, it must be nearly 10 years ago now, that one. So
How old do you think Bill Ward is?
Oh, well, they'd be all in their mid to late 70s, wouldn't they?
Yeah, I can't see him pounding on the drums, man, like he used to.
Oh, not like that, man.
No.
And I he looks like he's been in a good paddock too. So I don't know. I don't know how dexterous he'll be anymore. It would be great if they're great, and that would be an awesome way to go out. But it just seems stacked against them, with Ozzy possibly sitting down or leaning or being propped up, and Bill just struggling. So yeah, I don't know. Could be some backing tapes involved, is what I think.
Or another 2 drummers, maybe.
What do you think of artists who sit down when they perform?
I think maybe it's time for you to pack it up. If you can't stand and do the show, maybe it's time to pack it up, man.
Do you think some genres can get away with it, or you just think it's all bullshit?
Well, it's all bullshit, but yeah, some genres can probably get away with it.
Mm.
I mean, I think if you're a jazz singer, you could probably get away with it more than if you're a punk rock singer.
Well, I heard that when the Jesus Lizard first started playing live shows again, this is a couple of years before that record, which has recently come out, that at one of the shows, David Yao injured himself because he still thinks he's 25 and jumping into the crowd and all that shit.
Yeah.
And I don't know what his injury was, but he had his arm in a sling or something, and they put him in a chair, and of course the chair lasted 5 seconds, and he ended up back in the audience and hurt himself more. And then apparently the next night they tried to gaffer tape him to the chair, and then him and the chair went into the audience.
Yeah. That reminds me. One time I saw the Dickies at the Whiskey.
Yeah.
And I think Leonard Graves Phillips, I think he broke his leg in a skiing accident or something, and he came out in a wheelchair. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I saw Jay Spaceman from Spiritualized, who though he was part of Spaceman 3. originally, and I saw them a number of times, and they're fantastic live. And the last time I saw them, for no particular reason, they come out and they always have like cool light show and it's real kind of like psychedelic shoegaze sound. And the last show I saw them, for no reason, he just sat in a chair, not even in front, like up on a thing nearer the drummer than the front of the stage on the side, and just sat there and kind of sang like the audience was there. And so he wasn't even looking at the audience. He was just sitting on this chair singing. And then it just turned into like a just whole schmozzle because he had, you know, problems with his pedals and all this sort of shit. And it was one of them things where, like, I play in a band, so I know guitarists get real fussy about this shit. And it's like they hear things that nobody else would care about. And so he was fussing so much, and it was just like, you know, and we were just so frustrated because we were like, just take that pedal out of the chain and like keep fucking playing. And so not only was he sitting after every song, he would be, you know, to his guitar tech, and they'd be fucking around for 10 minutes, and it was just like, and then eventually like he cracked their shits and the show ended early sort of thing, and it was just like, well, that was a complete waste of time, and he didn't even stand up.
That sounds horrible.
Yeah, no, that was really disappointing, especially because I really liked that band, and the other times I saw them, they were really, really good.
That's like a band, they started what, in the 90s?
Yeah.
It's not like they're dinosaurs. Like, I mean, come on, if Mick Jagger can run around, you fucking can stand up and play a fucking guitar, dude.
Yeah, I don't know what was going on. I think he's had a lot of health issues due to, you know, doing lots of heroin when he was younger, and that's knocked him around. But still, like, if you can't fucking do it,
take a vacation,
mm-hmm.
Rehabilitate, and then go out.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, but it's easy for me to say. I'm over here sitting on my ass all day, every day. You know?
Yeah, well, the worst one was I went and saw this indie band, a Melbourne band called The Panics, and they were probably 25, and they were honestly more on the mellow end of indie, and we went to go and see them, and it was packed. I wasn't expecting, like, I didn't know, they must have had a song on the local community radio which just took off, and it was just completely packed in this pub. And we get in there and they come out and people were going bananas and yelling and screaming and that, and then they all just sit down. And so where we were, all we could see was heads, like these like 4 heads, and it was just like, this is
kind of like Brian here, huh?
Yeah, just yeah. Maybe Brian's sitting very low. But yeah, we ended up walking out of that show because it was like, this is pathetic. You're like 25, can't even stand, and live they were even like, it was very Cardigan. I'm really sensitive kind of stuff, even more so, and it was like, nah, I can't do this.
That kind of stuff, it's kind of hard to be that emotional and stand at the same time.
Yes,
I think
it's hard on your legs.
One of the worst gigs I ever went to, it was Tomato Duplanty, the singer from the Screamers.
Oh yeah.
Now, I never did see the Screamers, and I kind of regret it. That's one of the, if I had to pick 5 bands that I regret not seeing, the Screamers would be one of them.
Yeah.
And he was doing a solo show at the Whiskey again. I used to go to the Whiskey all the time. But anyways, the music was all pre-recorded, and it was just him kind of like doing a cabaret thing, and it was dreadful, man. It was like, and I ended up walking out. I go, this is horrible.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a whole thing, bad shows. Sometimes they turn them into good shows. It was like, I think I told it on Fitz Electric Bar when I went and saw the B Suburban in the 90s. and Roland S. Howard was the support, and he was supposed to be solo, and he ended his set with Shivers, and then Tex Perkins kind of saunters onto stage looking a bit worse for wear and decides he's going to play some drums behind Roland, and Roland didn't look too pleased about it.
Yeah, that's funny.
And I have to say, yeah, Tex, I don't know what he's like as a drummer when he's sober, but he's no good when he's like full of whatever he was full of. And then Beast of Burden were headlining, so it was just kind of going to be like, oh, this is going to be interesting if he's already in this state before they're even playing. And of course, they come out and he's just arguing with everyone in the band, the stage mixer, the bouncers, the crowd, and someone like threw a plastic cup at him, like a beer cup, and it just missed him, and he's just going, oh, come on, you can do better than that. And then within like a second of him saying that, a full glass stubby just clocked him fair on the head. and he's like gone down, got up, blood's pissing out of his head, and he's like, that's more like it. So not only is he off his head, he's probably concussed now as well. And that's when he decides he's going to start throwing as much of the drum kit as possible into the crowd. And then he broke so many microphones, smashing them into the fold backs. I reckon they'd only played 5 or 6 songs at this point. And then he started like, he's breaking microphones left and right because he's off his head, so he's not hearing things properly. So he's arguing with the onstage mixer. And then he had a swing at him, and then the band stopped and they tried to hold him, and then the bouncers come on and he's trying to punch bouncers and all this. It was like, fucking hell. Yeah.
Quite
and
a spectacle.
It was. And it was like, I didn't want my money back. I was like, that was something.
Yeah.
It was completely chaotic, but it was just kind of like, whoa. But yeah, that was a hell of a show. So
yeah, there's been some chaotic concerts I've been to. Most of them end up turning out better than you would think, though.
Yeah, I like that. Even small shows now, like that, there's not that kind of unpredictability about it anymore.
Yeah.
Like, they might, we'll play a different song than we normally play or whatever. But usually, even in small shows, there's not much variation. They might play a different set the next night or whatever. But there's never that moment where you're like, this could get out of control or it could get chaotic or whatever. Like, I think the only band I know of is maybe Brian Jonestown Massacre. He flips out every now and then still.
Yeah, every few years he flips out.
Yeah, well, his most recent one was, I think, last year in Melbourne.
It was in Australia, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. Have you seen that doco Dig?
Oh, yeah, man, that's great.
It's unbelievable. I think it's quite funny that Dandy Warhol's bloke decides to travel with him when they're not touring. And what does he say? Like, he goes, no sleep, lots of drugs, driving huge distances. What could go wrong?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember in the mid-'80s, I guess they were living in L.A. in the mid-'80s. And I remember seeing them in the L.A. Weekly, like ads for them, playing at different clubs. And I always said, man, that's a cool name for a band, but I never did go check them out. By the 90s, I really wasn't going to gigs that much.
Yeah.
But yeah, my first introduction really to their music was Dig.
Oh,
it was like, man, from the very beginning, that chord, it's like, oh fuck, this is gonna sound good. And man, they blew. Even the Dandy Warhols I thought were pretty good, but
yeah, their first 2 or 3 records are great. I reckon.
Yeah.
I think I knew more before I'd even heard a note of Brian Jonestown Massacre. I'd heard about him, and the shit that he does on stage.
Yeah.
Because apparently the first time I didn't see them when they came to Melbourne a long time ago. And I think this must have been just before things were, must have been early 2000s before you would hear about everything on the internet. Because if I remember reading a review in the Street Mag of their live show, and the person who saw him was like completely pissed off at him, and like how he just stopped every song and he told the band off, and then when people in the audience said just play, he had a go at them, and then he got off stage and said, well, do you want to fight me? And all that sort of stuff, which then I was like, holy shit. And because if I had then went and listened to their music, and I was like, I couldn't put the two things together of this guy
They
being
don't go
that
together at
nuts and
all, huh?
angry. Yeah, with how
It,
kind of chill the music is.
yeah, it's like 60s psychedelic chill, and then you got this belligerent guy on stage. It's kind of
Yeah.
weird.
But I eventually did go and see them, and it was after the doco came out, and there was no antics, but they were just really good. Like they were just a really good sounding band, but they would take forever in between songs. They would like
Really? Oh.
finish a song, and then they just all hang out around the drums and just like chat and talk about stuff, like they were just at practice or something. And then it'd be kind of like one of them must have gone, oh, I suppose we should play another song. And then they go back, but at that point where you're like, just fucking play, they come back and play, and then they blow your mind again of how great they were. And then he kept walking off stage, and then about halfway through, he came back and he goes, oh, I just realised I just been going out to the back to have a cigarette, but they said I'm allowed to smoke on stage.
That's crazy. How many guitar players were in the band when you saw him?
3, including him.
Yeah.
And weirdly, he stands right on when I saw him, right on the left. Like he's hardly even has a stage light pick him up. He's almost in the dark, and he's like the front man.
Yeah.
Of the band. And Joel, the tambourine player, he's right up he has a microphone like a lead singer. Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny.
He's got a bit of showbiz pizzazz. He's good on stage, actually. So,
I've never seen a tambourine player with so much charisma.
Oh, he's great. He's great. I think you would have to go back to Motown days to see someone that good.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I think that was it. Standing in the Shadows of Motown, they actually interviewed the tambourine man, and he's just a gun, and he's got all the moves as well. He's fantastic. Love that shit. What do you think, Brian? You like tambourine? Man,
he loves the harmonica.
Yeah,
remember?
That's right. He's even more wasted than usual. Can't get a word out of him. Speaking of Brian, depending on when this might be irrelevant by the time we post this, but I noticed I haven't watched it yet, but I noticed he's done a top 10 punk rock records video, something along those lines. Have you seen it?
Is that the one that came out today?
Yeah. Here, top 10 punk vinyl records is called. Yeah, 18 hours ago. So yeah, today.
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet. I will though.
Yeah, same. It sort of made me think. I was like thinking, what about the top 10? Well, maybe not top 10. The not always mentioned punk bands. And then it made me think, should I go newer stuff or older stuff? So I actually pulled a bit of both. So
I've been selling off a lot of my US punk, and it's really surprising that some of them fetch like 100, 200, 50, 70. And then there's other ones that they're only fetching $10. It's like some people don't give a shit about it, and there's really no rhyme or reason to it a lot of the time.
Yeah, I agree. It's funny too, because there's things like I I'm like, oh, if I ever find that, and then I do it, and I'm surprised that it's not expensive at all. And then there's other things which I'm kind of like, oh, you should be able to find that everywhere, and you can, but it's worth
Yeah.
a fortune, sort of thing. If it's, it's weird. Anyway, this is your chance to shoot down my punk rock cred.
No, I would
These are
never do that.
these are one no, never ever. You're always very polite.
You're gonna show the Misfits, I assume.
No,
Yeah, I know.
the Australian X,
I've heard of them, but I've never heard them. Yeah.
really good. This is a lot rawer than the LAX. LAX have like a bit of that rockabilly sound to my ears. I love them, but different kettle of fish. This is like more skeletal and raw, and it's got Ian Ryland in the band, who he was in the original lineup of Rose Tattoo, and wrote a lot of those early Rose Tattoo
Is
songs on
Rose
that.
Tattoo Australian band?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought they were Canadian, but same thing.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been there. It was like I didn't even go on holidays when I was in Canada. It was like it was just like going to see my
Going
parents.
around the corner, huh?
Yeah, yeah. You like these guys?
Oh yeah, that's a great album, man.
Yeah. I don't know if I've seen many people show this one, but I reckon they're in the conversation as
Yeah,
well.
that's the vocals on that. The first time I heard it, it was like, what the hell? I mean, it was pretty intense for the time.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, really cool stuff. Flesh Eaters.
Yeah, they're okay. Just put it there. I don't really like the singer. That I don't think his voice is all that good.
Oh, good songs though, I reckon.
Yeah,
I
he's
don't
always
know.
had good musicians.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I can see what you're saying. It is one of those voices. Yeah. Now the other side of the pond. I'm sure, like all of the UK people, will be like, "Oh, of course, the Ruts."
Yeah,
That's
that's
you
still
like.
that's a good album, man.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
a great record.
I
I,
think Henry Rollins owns the original painting for the cover
that wouldn't
of
surprise
that.
me. I seem to remember
Yeah,
him doing one of his spoken words saying that when they reformed before the guitarist, like he was terminally ill with cancer, they asked him to play with them because the singer died years ago. Um, and yeah, he's like ultimate Ruts fanboy. But yeah, great band, and they're one of the few which like I reckon can add that reggae influence and it works. Lots of them,
yeah.
it sounds really awkward to me. Like I
It.
fucking hated all those '90s ska punk bands. God, they were terrible.
Yeah, I didn't. I'm not a fan of that stuff.
Mm. Speaking of which, I discovered this because of Henry Rollins' radio show, Pure Hell.
I thought you were gonna say because of my channel.
Well, I would love to say that, but this was before that.
Okay.
This is great. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
they're
amazing.
that. I have a record by them. I don't know if it's that one though.
Yeah, it's called Noise Addiction, and it says in the back original 1978 recording. So it's probably like
Yeah,
just a comp of everything they did.
yeah.
Now this one, see what you think. But to my ears, the pop group are a huge influence on what the birthday party sound became to me.
I've never
You
heard
know,
that record. I've seen
oh,
it.
yeah, it's great record. There's another version of this which I would like to hear as well. It's called the pop group. I think it's just called In Dub, and it's like a dub remix of this record, which I can't imagine, but sort of can.
Yeah,
But yeah, I really reckon that this was like, if you listen to the sort of once the birthday party got going, I can hear a bit of an influence from this. This is a great record.
Now, I have a question. Do you like the birthday party more or Nick Cave solo? Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds or whatever.
They're two different to compare, really.
Well, I'm not saying to compare them. Do you like one over the other, or you like them both?
And also, Nick Cave's become a whole other thing since he's so. I don't know. I do like. I really think that how you were saying before about this screamers. You wish you had seen them. The birthday party in their prime are a band I would see probably above nearly anyone else. They'd be in my top 10 for sure. Yeah, like for a long time on record, I didn't get it until I got some of their live recordings, which like there's that one which covers like was it 1980 to 82 or something, and that just floored me. And that then it all made sense because they were made. Some of their records I've read, they've intentionally tried to make tinny and sound like shit because they wanted them to sound really harsh, and but it made it sound really thin. So it's hard to say, but I'm gonna say the birthday party because it's just like I love Roland S. Howard's guitar playing better than anyone
I
who's
think that's
played.
the correct answer.
Yeah.
I'm not a real big Nick Cave fan. His later stuff.
Oh, there's different eras though. Like the
But
80s stuff is
the birthday
amazing.
party, man. I've only got the one album, the one where there's like a rat, that hot rod illustration on the cover.
Yeah,
It's probably
yeah.
their third
By
album, maybe.
what's his name? Big Daddy Roth
Yeah,
did that. Yeah, that's
album.
Junkyard.
It's yeah, Junkyard. That album is great, man.
Mm, mm.
And then I
Yeah,
saw Nick Cave open for. I'm thinking it was Sonic Youth,
oh
and
really?
and I it just didn't do. I didn't like it. And then Sonic Youth were fantastic. It was.
So
But
when was that?
I would say the late '80s, maybe.
Late 80s. And he's opening, I guess in the US, yeah, he would have been opening back then because he would have been headlining if it was Europe or here. Yeah, so what's that? That would have been around Tend to Pray era, I think, which is the
I don't
bit
know.
that song, The Mercy Seat. Interesting. Anyway, we'll agree to disagree about Nick Cave, but I do love the birthday party more. How about this one? I first heard this on a Crypt compilation I got in the 90s on CD, and they've become one of my favorite punk rock bands. This is the Pagans. They're almost like pre-punk, aren't they?
Were they a UK band?
I thought they were American.
They are? Okay. I'm not real familiar with them. I think I've heard a song or so.
I'm just reading the back because like I just assumed because they're on Crypt that they would be American. I can't see anything on here that indicates, but I think the song which I first heard on that comp is "What's This Shit Called Love," and I was like, okay, this is for me. This one, I reckon. I don't know if you've shown this or not, so I don't know what you think of this album, Ada.
Yeah, that's a good album. I've only streamed it though. When they were around, I didn't know about them at all. But then I've heard other people talking about them, and I streamed it. And I go, man, that's pretty good.
Apparently, they were stupidly young as well when they first come out. Like not 15, 16, more like 13 years old or something, and they were playing in clubs and shit like that.
Kind of like Red Cross when they first started.
Yeah. Now this might be bordering outside of punk territory, but I don't get into the whole it's got to sound
I have
like
a very wide definition of punk.
So I think there's a bit more rock and roll, DMZ, but they definitely got a punk thing going on. This is a great record. It probably verges into like power pop, punk and roll
Yeah,
kind of
but it's
thing.
I still think they're punk.
Yeah, I love that record. I come to them pretty late, to be honest.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Really good. And then the last one of what I think are the old, forgotten classics, Death.
Death.
This is so
I
good.
don't know if it's fair to say that they're forgotten. They were never discovered until the
Oh, that's
last what
true.
15, 20 years ago, or when that
Yeah,
documentary came out. Because
yeah.
I'd never heard of them.
I had heard the song. What is it? Politicians in My Eyes, and I can't remember where I heard it before I saw the doco.
Was that the single?
Yeah, and I don't remember how or where or who turned me onto it. Like I never owned it because it's impossible to get, and I don't think there was even a reissue or anything. Um, and then it was like a couple of years later. There's like, oh, this doco's coming out. I went and saw it, and then I think this might have coincided with it because this is like 2009 Drag City.
Yeah.
So it's probably about when that doco came out, I
Yeah,
reckon.
I
But
think it's probably the same year.
yeah, this is great. Who thought? Like, I think they were all brothers, weren't they?
Yeah, yeah. And
And they
you know how?
turned
Did you
into
hear the story of
this.
how that record got released?
Oh, just from the doco, but like, weren't they like a funk band before that? They were called something else.
I think
Yeah,
they might have been, yeah. But
yeah,
I think it's the singer's son. He was going to college in San Francisco, and somebody bought this single, and they were playing it, and he recognized the voice. He goes, "That's my fucking dad," you know. So he called up, and his dad had never spoken to this band Death he was in or nothing, and he
yeah.
called him up, and he goes, "Yeah, yeah, that's me."
I love in the doco how because the dad and his other brother who are still alive were still playing, but they just playing a reggae cover band.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I thought that was cool. And then like when his son like I can't remember who they got else to replace like the brother who passed away, but they reformed and played some shows, and the son I remember is just like absolutely blown away by him. Like it was sort of
Yeah.
playing these, yeah. He'd only seen them as these reggae dudes.
That's fun.
So here's the newer punk rock ones that I reckon in the last maybe 10, 20 years, I reckon I'm going to still be listening to in 10 or 20 years. It's like X Cult, Negative Growth, which on In the Red. Actually, any of their records I could have held up. Fantastic shit.
Don't know X Colt.
I
I
reckon you'd
probably won't
dig
know
it.
hardly any of these.
Well, you'll know this one, or you know Jay Retard.
Yeah.
I actually like this better than his stuff, Angry Angles.
Yeah.
I do like his stuff quite a bit, but this is like it's all not just punk, but it's also got like that new wavy thing going on in there as well. It's really good,
Yeah.
and that's
I
on Goner. It's great.
as a retard, I always found that name to be highly offensive. J
Well,
Riggs
yeah,
retard.
I'm not touching that. Now, this will probably get me flack because they've got quite popular, but this blew my socks off when I first heard this. This is the Idols, that UK band, and that record "Joy as an Act of Resistance." Um,
Yeah, I have never seen one of their records in a record store.
yeah, I absolutely love them, and like their first probably two or three, are more edgy. But I like what they're doing with their new stuff. They've retained the edge and noise, but they're like experimented around a bit and they've got a bit of groove in there, like as well now. And he's just got one of those. You know how a lot of punk rock voices up here are sometimes a bit screechy.
Yeah.
It comes from his guts. He's got like a deep, like, I just love his voice, and I saw them. They've been over here a few times, and I've missed them every time until this year. And this is where I was like, "Holy shit!" They played at the Maya Music Bowl, which is like Neil Young played there, man. Um, so they've got big, and it was one of the best big shows I've been to. They were just slaughtered the place. They were amazing. But
Yeah, I
yeah,
like them. What I've
this
heard.
record's great. Yeah, I I really really like them, and they yeah, especially if you got a song title called "Never Fight a Man with a Perm." I reckon that's great.
I used to have a roommate that had a perm.
And it's this Australian band from maybe 20 years ago called the Bird Blobs. Real swampy scientist style. Um, yeah, like a lot of sort of beats on the toms, and instead of like just your regular, you know, four on the floor,
Yeah.
hi hats and snare. Yeah, really really good. I also have a soft spot for him because just after this record, a mate of mine played bass with him as well. Really cool band. I think he's where is he? Tim Evans. This dude. He lives in New York now. He was in a. He's originally from Tasmania, and I saw his first band called Mouth. It was like I reckon I'd been in Melbourne for maybe a month, and I went to this place called the Punters Club, and it was happened to be their last ever show, and they just blew me away, and I just followed everything he did after that. And while we're in Australia, in the last 20 years, I can't not show Eddie Current Suppression Ring. This is awesome record. It's like no fat. It's recorded in a rehearsal room. Fucking just awesome Mikey Young guitar. That's that guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really,
And
really good.
I think you mentioned them before. In their second album, they recorded in the same,
Yeah, they won
even though
this.
they got like advances from the record
They
company
got
and that.
they won this award. I think it's called the Amp Head Award, and they got
Uh,
like 20 grand for it, and they just pocketed it and just recorded the second album the same.
Yeah.
Now this one's thanks to you, the Stools. I love this record.
Yeah, that's a good. The Stools are really good. I like them.
Yeah, I love. Yeah, this is really really good. That was just from watching your channel. Uh, and then of course, because I bang on about it all the time, Civic. I reckon they went up a notch on this. Rob Younger from Radio Birdman produced it. It's got like a, you can hear all that shit like the Saints in Radio Birdman, but they got their own kind of deal going on with it as well. It's a really
Yeah,
really
I've never
cool
heard
record.
that either.
Yeah, it's great. They got a new one coming out very soon. They're really good live. I think they've been going regularly over to the US too. Oh, it's going to be like two more Australian ones. Stepmother. I did a shed burner on this where I played some tracks off it and talked about it on one of those videos. Yeah. This is, it's like yeah, I don't know. I'm going to say Saints and Radio Birdman again, but it sounds totally different to that. There's kind of like, it's a bit more guitar-y, if that makes sense. Whereas like Civic sort of have the chug, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
The guitars are a bit more out of control and razor edge sounding, and like, yeah, you can tell it would have been really loud in the studio. But he's got one of those great punk rock voices like Chris Bailey, where it's gruff, but he hits hooks and melodies really well.
What's the name of that band?
Called Stepmother.
Stepmother. Okay.
And the record's called Planet Brutalacon. And probably my favourite Australian punk rock band of the last few years, Split System, which I showed in our previous video.
Yeah, I've heard you discuss them. And
These
Brian. Brian has their second album, I believe.
Yeah. You should be able to. This is on Legless Records, which I think they have a distro deal with Gone or In the Red or
I've
someone
seen
like.
their records at Going Underground. So
Oh, okay.
I should if it's your favorite, I'll check them
Oh,
out.
it's so good. And this one,
I thought you said
which
that was the last one.
no, that was the last Australian one.
Oh man, this video is going on forever.
I'm gonna chop it after this.
I'm just
This
playing with you.
this one's on In the Red, and this has got one. You know Ty Siegel's band Gogs, where he just plays guitar.
What's
G
it?
O
How do you
double
spell it?
GOGGS. Just done two
No,
records.
no.
Oh,
I know Fuzz,
really,
but I don't know that one.
nah, really, really good. Fuzz is sort of more, the hard rock psych style.
Yeah.
Gogs are more like punk rock, new wave filtered through, everything that came after. Well, this is one of the guys from Gogs and his band. I don't know. I would say Memo PST, but you Yanks will usually say Memo, don't you?
I
is
don't.
that is that is that racist? This is a fucking killer record. This is really, really good. This is last year. This is one of my most played along with those Australian ones. I fucking love this record. Really, really cool. That's the end.